You are watching The Horizon, the voice of the Amber Woman, exclusively on ABC Amba.
Stand with Ambazonia. Empower ABC Amba TV. We are calling on Ambazonians around the world to unite and uplift ABC Amba TV, Ambazonian Broadcasting Corporation. In this critical time of war, ensuring the station's survival is more important than ever. But what does ABC Amba TV truly represent for Ambazonia?
At the heart of Ambazonia's war of independence, ABC Amba TV stands as a beacon. Years of recolonization, annexation, and French Cameroon's oppressive occupation of the southern Cameroon's Ambazonia have led to our exclusion. Our identity was hidden, our history distorted, our sovereignty denied. Queen of England is aware that the British Southern Cameroons were never a colony under France.
Since its inception in 2018, ABC Amba TV has been our lifeline.
Months of diplomacy have failed to resolve the crisis as fear grows over an imminent Russian invasion of Ukraine.
Our work in the dark is our chance to tell our stories to the world, to give voice to the voiceless and broadcast the truth of our struggle.
We are serious about executing this revolution.
It has become a vital arm of our government in wartime, making diplomacy achievable and showcasing our untold stories.
ABC Amba, you guys know how important ABC is for this, our quest for international recognition.
Your donations can make a world of difference. Every bit of support helps keep our stories alive, our presence known, and our fight in the global conversation.
The moment they notice that we are no longer on air, they think that, oh, maybe La Republique have succeeded. This is about Amazonia. One thing we must always remember.
Where would we be without ABC Amba TV? Let's ensure we never have to find out.
A revolution is a temporary state of insanity to bring about sanity.
Mobilize, donate, stand with Ambazonia. Donate to ABC Amba TV.
Together, let's write the next chapter of our history.
It is better to light the candle than to curse the dark.
Support ABC Amba TV campaign. Ambazonia Independence, voice for the voiceless. Mobilize for change.
Hello. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, fellow Amazonians. Greetings to all our patriots at home front and to our restoration fighters. Good evening to all of you. Welcome once again to The Horizon, the voice of the Ambazonian woman. Today, we'll be reflecting on the great address by our president, Dr. Samuel Sako, on the 31st. It was loaded. It was full with wisdom, motivation, inspiration, guidance, and direction. So join me to reflect on this message as we move ahead to this new year and establishing the vision aligned by the president is Dr. Abiedu and Dr. Winnie Lobati. You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on The Horizon, the voice of the Amber Woman. Happy New Year again.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year, Ma Winnie.
Happy New Year, Lady Casey, and thank you for inviting me today. And I hope we'll have a good trip through what the president saw last year and how he is taking the vision for 2025 so we can get the bonus grade. Thank you.
Thank you. And this is really important. So when we work with the president of the interim government, we understand his vision and he knows how to articulate his viewpoint. And it was short inspiration and revitalization listening to him on New Year's Eve. And Mawini, I will just come straight over to you. You know, the president started his speech by acknowledging the different stakeholders, the contributors, the participants, and expressing his gratitude to their contribution. What would you like to say in regards to that?
Let me start also joining the president in the voice to thank all the stakeholders who have remained focused and who have borne this course in their heart, in their being, and they believe in it, and they cannot shake it off. I want to thank everyone who contributed, be it at the home front, how they kept it alive, be it in the diaspora, those who participated at every level. I want to join the president to appreciate every Amazonian. A few Amazonians are involved, but I think we could get more. However, it didn't take more than 300 people for Gideon to win a mighty battle that the entire nation benefited from. So we will continue, and God will keep blessing us. Thank you.
Thank you. Over to you, Mapi.
Yes, thank you so much, Lady Casey. I'll echo exactly what Dr. Winnie has said. Unfortunately, when we started our journey, we had so many, I should say, fortunately, when we started our journey, we had so many people excited, willing to contribute, willing to participate in every aspect. And over time, that number has dwindled down to a handful. And this handful that we presently have in the government of the president, the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, are the steadfast doing all the work to take us home. We believe that we don't need 100% of all Amazonians. We believe that those who are here, if they are committed and they do all that is necessary, we will get the results we are aching for. And I want to thank all of them for all the sacrifices. They're sacrificing financially, they're sacrificing sweat and blood, they're sacrificing their time. And this sacrifice will not go for nothing. God is with us. It took the Israelites so many years to get to the promised land. We don't want it to take that long for us. We're in modern day time with social media, making things that would take 10 years, take 1 year. So we are praying that home will be seen sooner than later. We thank the president also for staying steadfast. Can you imagine that he was just called onto this job because the interim president at that time, Sako Tabi was abducted with his cabinet, and he from the very beginning joined and has been with us till now. And we really must appreciate this guy. Let me just say this at this point. I wasn't planning on saying this. I mean, I have been a Secretary of State for the Women's Department for just a few years, and I'm tired, to be honest with you. I will say that I wish somebody else can take this responsibility from my hands. But then I reflect that if I'm saying that, what about the president? What about the president? So I digress, but I just want to say that his speech was marvelous. Let's continue.
Thank you. And that's also part of what we are going to discuss today. The stability his leadership have brought to our freedom quest. We will get into that part much later in the conversation. But thanks for acknowledging that. And, it is the type of conscience he brings to all of us. And he also, in his address, I hope we've all had a person listen. He aligns some of the things that he's done. I want to go into this part. This is almost the third part of his address. It wasn't the second thing after his expression of gratitude, but he talked about the America treatment of our comrades that are locked up. He taught how America is treating them and how that is a double standard. We want to talk, I want us to really talk a lot about this, to creating enlightenment, because in case that brought fear or brought some reservations to some Amazonians. Yes, so in case that brought any reservations to some Amazonians, let us create awareness around that particular incident. Mape, I would come first to you to show more light on this particular aspect of how America has treated some of our comrades, and he also went far ahead and mentioning the arrest of Cho Ayaba. You know how how should Amazonian position themselves or see this? If anybody have any kind of fright as a result of that.
Okay, I think the best way to really address that part, because it's a very important part of our history and what is going on right now to help free Amazonia, is I should just read that section of his speech, and then maybe we can talk about it because it's loaded.
Okay.
Yes. My fellow Americans, because he addressed it to Americans, really. My fellow Americans, we have maintained time without numbers since 2022 that the prosecution of Clochi, Langmi Nestor, and Frank Cheney was a wrong move by the United States Justice Department. Many subject matter experts have from across the United States, Europe, and Africa about U.S. government treatment of support for foreign conflicts firmly agree with us. They are joining us this year, that's 2025, to make sure America does what is right and in her best interest in Amazonia and on the continent of Africa. There is a clear case of double standards when those supporting Ukraine are not prosecuted. Those supporting Israel or Palestine are not prosecuted, and those who supported South Sudan or Eritrea were not prosecuted. What about, I don't know whether I want to listen to it.
Yeah, no. Just carry on.
Okay. What about those who supported the Castro Must Go movement in Cuba? They were not prosecuted. Matter of fact, a great Cuban immigrant, a member of the resistance in the US against communist Cuba, who took refuge in the United States in the person of Mr. Marco Rubio, is the father of Senator Marco Rubio. Mario Rubio is the father of Senator Marco Rubio, who will be the next Secretary of State of the United States of America. We love the US. We are not enemies to the United States. My own son too might one day become the next Secretary of State of this United States. I know Senator Rubio's disdain for dictators and oppressors make him understand firsthand what it means for the people of Southern Cameroon to be massacred in scores of thousands for 7 long years, counting by a ruthless dictator over a political question that could be resolved without bloodshed. We believe that justice will be served going forward for our 3 brave heroes in Kansas City. I call on all Americans through their leaders to join us to ensure justice is done and see it to be done for these Americans of Southern Cameroonian origin. African causes are on trial. If these are condemned, if these are condemned, what many of us are doing in good faith on the continent, then we all are condemned. If they are justified, then we all are justified. This is our fight. So that's the section on that he talked about the Kansas 3. And I know Ma Winnie would have something to say about it. Thank you.
Thank you, my patience. And if we just rewind a little bit before we even zoom into this speech of the president, this the Kansas City 3 or KC3, they are not the first Amazonians that have been dragged to court. If we just rewind, we'll go to when Emmanuel Silai brought a lawsuit in California against some Amazonians, as well as he brought some lawsuits. I think in I don't know if it's Washington, D.C. or Maryland, one of those in that DMV area, which also fell apart and was thrown out of court. And by doing that, we knew he was a proxy for La République du Cameroon. And being that proxy, he was able to, of course, he filed whatever he filed. It was thrown out of court and never saw the light of day, but it ends up costing time and money. But then we had other comrades who in the DMV area, some charges were brought against them and they pled guilty. A good example would be Manga. And the charges that were brought, I don't think she was the only one. There may have been more people. So our Kansas City 3, at least in the short period of the 2016 to 24 or 25, we have some landmark either cases brought against us or our other comrades or other Amazonians that we can turn back and look to them. The exact charges that were levied against our 3 brothers in Kansas City, it would take a legal mind to shred it apart, which I'm sure had been done here in the US. But to do that within the American broader context, we have to help establish a precedent to show that Ukrainians are doing this, Palestinians are doing this, Southern Sudanese are doing this, other parts of the world, or even Cuba, Cubans, Americans of Cuban origin are doing this, then you can now go back to say, what did the government of America, because the charges are actually brought by the government, unlike the one that was like bringing a charge as I would say the surrogate of another government hiding under the carpet as Nsalai. Something must have really been into this that made some charges to be brought. But charges brought does not imply guilt. What really baffles me is how long they have been kept and denied bail without trial. It starts sounding like a banana republic. How could the US government, if they say they had all the cases, because if I remember when the charges were read against our comrades in Minnesota, and the judge, based on some of the people who were present in the court, asked some questions. And the judge told the FBI agent, I think you have a little more work to do. That doesn't cut it. So our comrade was sent back home. And then when he was asked to report to Kansas City, that's when Kansas City held him. What went wrong? Are they at flight risk? I don't think so. Because that's usually what the US government would say. We are keeping somebody because they are at flight risk. They're not. No flight risk at all. Ultimately, by holding them without bail and granting them bail, it's almost saying that justice, we can do this. Yes, let's say there is something, some even misdemeanor in the charges that they brought. Has it risen to the level that it's a felony? And even if it's a felony charge that you are bringing, you are not guilty until the trial has been done and completed and you are found guilty. So why not grant them bail? They can be out and still work on this trial, whether the government wants to, or a good judge will just look at it and say, guess what? This is what America stands for. Freedom for people. And when people they want freedom, they will work to ensure that their countries are free. And the roots of where they came from, the people are free. And there is nothing wrong with that. There's also the humanitarian aspect of, by holding these people, the government is making it scary, even for some of our Amazonian people to be involved and say, hey, you see, American government, mind you, don't be surprised. Don't be surprised. There is some pressure by some lobbyists of La République du Cameroon behind pushing some of this. Don't be surprised that could be part of this game. But
yeah, go ahead.
But as Americans, as it says, we are all equal before the law. That's why you saw they drag President Trump all over. Multiple charges brought against him. He was going left and right to different courts in New York, in Florida, and elsewhere. He was never locked up. You will say, yeah, because he's a former president. But every American stands equal before the law. So our brothers deserve to also have at least a bail. They can post bail and they can be out with their families.
So I wanted to just say something in addition to what Winnie has said. You know, on January 5th this year, there was a commentary made on the Star, which is a paper in Kansas City, and it says that the feds put the Kansas City 3 in prison for the same thing many other Americans do, and they went through to describe exactly what is happening. It says, as a new administration begins, there's transition process in Washington, D.C., an apparent difference in treatment between Black and white Americans by the outgoing Department of Justice is entering the mainstream press for attention. The trial of 3 U.S. citizens known as the Kansas City Three is in federal court for the Western District of Missouri, Western Division. They have been jailed for more than 2 years. Chloe Chi of the Kansas City suburb, Lee Summit, Frank Cheney of St. Paul, Minnesota, and La Nestor Langley of Buffalo, New York, have been in jail at the federal prison in Leavenworth since November 2022. The 3 American citizens have been jailed on charges of material support of terrorism for the simple reason that they raise money in the U.S. to provide support for civilians in the U.S. in the southern Cameroons for their self-defense against Cameroon's military forces that attack them. We have all seen the outpouring of support and resources to those directly impacted by other global horrors, including Hamas of October 7, 2023, attacks from Gaza, and the resistance against Russian forces in eastern Ukraine's requests for donation for military gear support are posted on the internet almost daily. So this article is really saying that if all this is happening in the view of the United States, of the Justice Department, and they are not arresting those people, why would they arrest Southern Cameroonians for doing the same thing? Are black families not important? Is it an issue of black versus white? Or as Winnie said, is there somebody in La Republique that is behind the scenes in insisting that they be kept there? So we hope that 2025 will have the answer to this and maybe they will be let go. Thank you so much.
Thank you for putting more light in that. And that is the confidence we need to have, that we can always notice these people, their double standards, because in this case is clearly, like Marpe said, is it a case of black versus white? We know, and we should know by now, that the concerns and cry of Africa or the African is the least thing to the West, unless they are benefiting from it. That's the only time they pay attention, they have concern. Dr. Lobati have had a lot of explanations on this same program about how these things work when we talked about diplomacy, talk about the West and the different conflicts in the world and all of these things, and watch previous Horizon program for expansion on that particular aspect of why things looks and seems the way it is. So we started a bit late today, and I'm not sure how much time ABC is giving us on this program. That's why I want to focus on some of the key aspects of the president's address. In the most part, Mape, we've had a little bit of talk about Ayabacho's address, and I just want us to talk a little bit around that, because the president said something I was quite I find it interesting. Now I need to know what you think. He said he called on the Finnish government, that government where he is, Norway, yes, Norwegian government, sorry, to address the issue, the reasons why Ayabacho was arrested and released and passed judgment, because he's been kept there without any trial or any judgment passed on him. And then he also went on to say they made a petition in 2020 and they gave names of those who are causing issues in Amazonia, and that they should address that petition. So what's your take on that aspect of his petition and the way he tackled the arrest of the Ayabacho in his address?
Okay, so let me just read this section that has to do with the ICC, which is what you refer to.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
and then we talk about Ayabacho. So, fellow countrymen and women, on the ICC litigation, I am bold to say that we submitted the judicial complaints that the court has been working on since 2020. I refer you to the correspondence from the office of the prosecutor. Ours was not another letter of protest to appeal to the ICC. It was a judicial complaint and not a protest letter to the prosecutor. Give credit to whom credit is due. We did not just call the attention of the court to the atrocity crimes being committed in the Southern Commons by elements of dictator Biya. We made a case against the genocidal occupation forces in our country. We provided detailed exhibits for the alleged atrocities, including genocide, apartheid crimes against humanity, and war crimes. We elected ourselves as witness to these crimes. No other effort before or after us came close, technically speaking. The only help we need after realizing our petition got to the court station, support by rights advocates and governments to bring our file out of the back burner. Trying to deny us the credit is a pathetic rigmarole. Whoever supported us did a great service to humanity, but none other than this government authored the petition with the evidence the court is now investigating. I am not saying this to denigrate the efforts of anyone supporting or speaking in support of the ISIS investigation in our country. Okay, I'll get to the Cho Ayoba part soon. Let me just continue. I salute the effort of all Ambazonians and non-Ambazonians who openly and secretly supported our push at the court. We do not shy away from taking responsibility when things go wrong. It's not therefore humility to not take responsibility when things go right. God forbid that I should ever measure myself with Jesus Christ, but allow me to give you this analogy. Jesus carried his cross and went through all the suffering. Somewhere, someone gave him a helping hand with his cross. And I hear some saying, let us give credit to the man who helped Jesus and forget about Jesus. After all, everybody knows Jesus is the Messiah. Our legal team did this for free, a job that would have cost Amazonia $30,000 if we had gone with the Washington-based law firm that we contacted in early 2020. Amazonia, fear not, we have more helpers now than you think. Those who are really helping us, you don't know them, neither do you see them. On the other hand, we would like to remind the Kingdom of Norway that Ayabacho Lucas, who is in their custody, is an Ambazonian, so he must not be judged by the laws of La République du Cameroon. He should be tried by European Union laws and relevant international conventions. Remember, justice delayed is justice denied. So the sooner Norway tries him, the better. Otherwise, Norway will be perceived by some as doing this to help choose enemies. Also, okay, so that's it. So the two things that he addressed, the one about the ICC, because
I was going to get to the ICC, and then Winnie, you can take it from which angle, either from the ICC part or from Ayabacho's side of that particular segment of his address.
Let me start with the Cho Ayaba, then end on with the ICC. With the Cho Ayaba, like I say, thank God I would say jurisprudence in the West is not like the one in Africa, that it's only on paper and there's a lot of corruption and a lot of things done illegally, even violating human rights. I want to thank the Norwegian government for protecting the rights too of Mr. Cho Ayaba as an Ambazonian by not repatriating him to La République de Cameroon as the La République de Cameroon people or government may want that to happen. Remember, if for any reason, whatever the charges that are brought against Mr. Cho Ayaba, which I am not privy because I haven't really read it, except knowing that he was picked up and detained. For those who know the detail, if any of the charges are ones that deal with human rights violations back in Amazonia, and La République du Cameroon knows that they are the ones abating and helping him to do their dirty job for them in some capacity, then they will want to cover their trail. I'm not saying this lightly because you can look, even amongst the fighting groups that have existed within our struggle on the ground. We started the self-defense and other groups. Currently we have the ASA, but if you look, we've always also have other groups that wanted to just show dominance and power and control. And in so doing, they were being sponsored by even both La République and some Amazonians in the diaspora. We know that because we could hear some of them even boast about, there were some names, Unity, whether it was Warrior or whatever, it was an issue of dominance, and that was under the Cho Ayaba's leadership of his defense arm. When we say that we are happy that he was picked up but not sent to La République, we really mean that from the depths of our hearts. Because in the process of whatever trial is put out, if they don't throw out the case, then hopefully and honestly, if Mr. Cho Ayaba is for the independence and sovereignty of Southern Cameroons, then what he would do, he would then have to expose his sponsors on the ground and what they did and how they helped and abated all what was being done. And I think Mr. Capo Daniel is also very privy to that information. Mind you, I think he's in Canada, but he's also privy because he was one time the spokesperson and whatever for AGOVC. So they know what is really happening. And if you put Mr. Cho, let me say something here before I go, even besides Cho Ayaba. Most often, when you have a potential witness, even if they are part of the accused group of whatever crime that they had committed, and they know that the life of that potential witness, who may also be charged, is at stake, because the big guns, who he may be at a lower level and you have other people above that person, that as you start following the trail from that person C down, you will get to person A, who is the mastermind. They may protect person A by even holding person A just for his protection. Sometimes they may give them what they call witness protection. But that will not be for people that are accused. The ones that are already charged and accused, that may help the prosecutor with their case. They may hold them. And so don't be surprised if they may keep Mr. Cho Ayaba longer. But what we say is, bring the trial quickly. Don't hold it for too long. Let's hear this. Let the things unveil. And let's then go to see. But mind you, some deals may be cut in the background with some individuals that the court may seal documents and everybody may not see what transpired when they do some deals, in terms of if they are negotiating, somebody is pleading guilty and something, some deals can be done. And it's all within the procedure of courts to do that. Coming back to the ICC, if I am right, La République du Cameroon is not a member of the ICC. They did not subscribe to upheld what the ICC stands for. They probably never ratified it. So if it's not ratified, then ICC technically cannot drag them. I think they may have ratified the ICJ, which is the International Criminal Justice, or that one they may be. But a nation that signed is Nigeria. And because Nigeria collaborated with the government of Cameroon and repatriated Julius Sako Ayok with his cabinet at the time, literally carried Nigeria as part of co-conspirator in helping La République become a human rights violator as a country and as a nation. Mind you, Nigeria and Cameroon, they have a long boundary, and they do work on a lot of things, all the Boko Haram and what. So they say they collaborate on those. But Cameroon and Nigeria are complacent, and they are co-conspirator, and they took refugees out. That was a violation of their rights. Transported them back to a nation where they were fleeing persecution. That's violation of international laws. So, thank everyone that has written to ICC, every Ambazonian, non-Ambazonian, whether the case was thrown in the trash can or was put on the desk and is under review. I want to thank you all. It means you have a heart to see that the human rights violation that is going on in Ambazonia is human rights violation that needs to be addressed internationally. Therefore, with that being said, this response that we finally got is it's just attesting to the fact that it needed to be addressed. I may pause here and say, for anyone who doubts that genocide is occurring and continues in southern Cameroon, aka Amazonia, should go to the Amazonia Genocide Library.com and look for that. If our producer could have even just flashed that link, it will be helpful. You can see the atrocities: baby burned, baby roasted or fried in hot oil by the BIR La République military. Schools were invaded: Kumba, Ngabu, Guzang, Bali, name it. Mato, Moyoka, a lot of places where a lot of these atrocities have been committed. So, La République their hands are stained. But guess what? It will take a court of law to really overall bring the trial, and in bringing the trial, not only as a nation, but the individuals that permitted, orchestrated, and authorized those crimes to be done, carried out, will be brought to justice. Remember, World War II, Hitler, some of the people ran for years, but when they were ultimately found, they were still brought to trial. I think there was somebody that was brought to trial when he was in his 80s. He thought he had hid for so many years, but he came back to life and trial was brought.
Let me just say something about the Cho Ayaba case also. So, in the United States of America, you are innocent until proven guilty. And I believe the Norwegian system also follows the same policy. But we're hoping that they will get the case to court soon. And it will benefit Southern Cameroonians in two ways. Number one, what has been happening in Southern Cameroon for the past 7 years will come to light. People will be more aware of what is going on. They'll be more aware of the genocide that Winnie has talked about. If they show up the genocidal libraries, see all those atrocities that have been committed. And also the historical aspect, why is this happening, will come up. It will come up why this happened in the first place. Number two, we know Cho Ayaba is guilty of certain crimes, of certain atrocities, and he has been a thorn in the side of our journey for a long time. I will not mince my words. I am not afraid to say that, based on the allegations that he himself has said that he has done certain things, the killing in Guzang, the beheading of chiefs and all the like that he authored, he should be found guilty of those atrocities and pay for those atrocities. But in the light of this happening, the plight of Southern Cameroons, the historical plight, the political plight, the economical plight, everything that we've gone through will come to light. And that is the beauty about this case. And I hope that it benefits us as soon as it gets to court, as soon as they start deciding on his guilt or innocence. Thank you so much.
Yeah, just bringing back. Thank you, Mape. Let me just add something to that, Cho Ayaba. This issue of kidnap for ransom has been a big thing that was propagated by the AGOVC Defense Arm.
Right.
We know that, and we have heard that. I know, like we say, you're presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. But most of the people, the sad thing is that some of the major witnesses on the ground, after they had been used to carry out some of these crimes, the kidnapping for ransom, which were done by the ADF, because that's their defense arm, the ADF boys on the ground, under the authority and encouragement. My patients, what you and I know from somewhere else, in a close-knitted conversation that we are not going to put that in public. Some of that, he promoted and even set prices of how much they should collect for the ransom. And even threatened, if you don't bring that, it's doubling. That the price will double. And if you don't, the person you may not see the person again. So these are the things that trouble our people, and that gave a tarnished name that La République used to say we are a terrorist organization. I've never been and will never be one. The plight for justice is a plight for justice when a minority has been oppressed, suppressed, and all their rights taken away, and their system and all the culture and their government has been eroded so that they can be subjugated by a larger or a larger majority and place in where we find ourselves today. Our problem today in 2025 was foreseen in the 1960s and 1961 as they were working on, basically historically, as they were working for our independence. The voices, even in the House of Lords, even in the British, let me say, parliamentary system, were already saying that you force these two people together, it will be like putting a balloon under the water. It will never stay, it will come up. And we are in that coming up phase, and that is what is happening. Unfortunately, La République is good at baiting a few people with money and with public, maybe positions in their government, and let them do their dirty work for them. And when they do that, everybody seems to be, there's a big brush that they use to just paint all Amazonians that we kidnap for ransom, our cause is corrupt, our this is this. No, take every individual for their merit and their actions and what they're doing. Cho Ayaba will have his day in court, and he will defend himself and talk about what he did, what did not do, what he permitted through his ADF, and what he didn't permit. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I just want us to focus more on the ICJ. Excuse me. The ICJ questioning of La République representative. Excuse me. I think in November we had a conversation about that. We played the videos and we had a conversation about it. Same here on the horizon, and with Dr. Lobati, who explained and break down what's going on and what does that meant. And the president said, if we can, he can own up to mistakes. He can also own up, also take claim of the efforts to ensure that they put in the petition to against La République, regarding the genocide they are causing and the killing and destruction in our territory, and that's just to say that the interim government is doing everything and anything to ensure that we make progress, we move forward, we hold those accountable that needs to be held accountable, and continue to move forward with our freedom quest. And I just wanted to highlight that part, that the efforts of the interim government are yielding results. And Mapi, do you have anything, or what we need to
No, I
add
said
to
the
that?
effort of the government.
Yes, sorry. Yeah, the effort of the government, obviously. The effort of the government. Yeah, it's is making waves, and that will just take us to the part, the policy statement, I'll call it. So the almost the last part of the president's address was the policy we are going to do. And just before we go into policies, he talked about reconciliation, that reconciliation. He talked about unity, but he addressed what unity is
Truth and
and
reconciliation.
collaboration. And then he went on to talk about the commission, how they'll have a town hall and come together and agree on the way forward, and whatever majority of the people agree, and that will be executed by the government. And he talked in detail of that aspect, and I think that's also a very important aspect, especially as we're in this new year, and we know we have been highly fragmented by created by different individuals for their selfish interests, their egos, and plus ignorance and wickedness, that have created a lot of division. And and distraction amongst Amazonians. So, what would you do? You want to read that section, Mafe?
Yes, I want to read it. The thing that I printed it and the print was so tiny, so I was struggling to read because I probably need some magnifying glasses. So that's why I was struggling. So I'm trying to go
Okay.
back to my iPad and see if I can see it. But I can read this section on the Reconciliation Committee.
Yes.
As fellow supporters of the struggle, our experiences with individuals in this struggle and in the government over the years have no doubt bred mistrust among us. We have seen all the rainbow colors and how many of us can change with the weather. I agree that we must heighten our vigilance in this government, but we must do so without paralyzing our operations. I will call on the Truth and Reconciliation Commission to hold a town hall very soon to inform stakeholders of their findings and discuss their recommendations made to the president. I want Ambazonians to participate in this open discussion because it borders around a serious issue like the Constitution. After that, I will assess the majority position and do what is best for the struggle. If anyone has broken our fundamental law, Ambazonians ought to know. But except in math, 100% is a utopia. Let me ask you, do you know of any constitution that is accepted by 100% of the citizens of the country? Or do you know any country leader that is elected by 100% of registered voters? Ambazonia is just another country. It is not a planet in the galaxies. You don't like X and X does not like you, it does not matter. Laws are not made for the liking of everybody. If we sit here and decide no, there will be someone who will say yes. If we decide yes, there will be someone who will say no. So should we suspend rules making because we cannot get 100% agreement? We have much to pursue and accomplish this year. Let us major in this major and not in the minor. I believe we have to educate the world about our cause, but just maybe we must educate ourselves more before we get to Boya. This is another learning curve. That's where it ends on that section about the way forward. So I believe we'll be hearing from the president soon when the committee, reconciliation committee will, I think the chairperson of that committee is Barrister Tim Beisha. They'll probably let us know when that town hall meeting will take place for us to go sit down and listen to the recommendations made and move forward. Just living in the United States of America, we've had so many presidents. I've been here since 83, and I came here when who was president at that time? The actor Reagan was the president when I came to the United States of America. And since Reagan, we've had so many presidents. We've had Reagan, the Bushes, Clinton, Obama, Biden, and now we're getting to Trump. And they have something that they commonly do. They always talk about the president's approval ratings. When you think about approval ratings of all these presidents, it ranges from 50-something percent, 40-something percent. You rarely see 70% or 80%. Rarely, right? Mm-hmm. So it's telling you that not everybody likes who is sitting in that office. And that is not unique to Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia. But you need somebody to be there to be the leader to make things work. And sometimes you only see the benefit of somebody when the person has left. They say the grass is greener on the other side. When the person is gone, then that's when you see that, oh, this person did so much for the country. So we will continue supporting President Sako, and hopefully we get to Boya in 2025. That's all I'm praying for.
Yeah, Winnie, sorry to interrupt you, Mape. I really want Mommy to chime in properly on this as the lawmaker. As this is your territory. On this truth and reconciliation policy. And Amape said something that is approval ratings is never. I think the highest I've ever seen was 78%. If I remember, but that was for a period of time for Obama. It's hardly been up to 70% for any sitting president in the United States. So, I would like your view on this particular aspect of why, and then I'll come with the follow-up question. Go on.
Let me talk about ratings first. I laugh over that. I think if you look really well for politicians, be it president, Congress, or whatever, their approval rating ranges from somewhere in the 30s to 50s. When you're in the 50s, you're doing really well.
Right.
And that's a good reason for that in America. Because remember, we have two major political parties. And so the person those that are ruling or are in the ruling seat at the time, that are the majority, their parties are happy. And so you see that reflected. Those that are independent may join that party to be happy with what they are seeing. And sometimes it's based on the season, on a specific thing that is happening, or a change that is happening, or a law that is made, or the economy. Don't undermine how people feel in their pockets, also how it impacts the approval rating. But with approval rating, the governance is not easy.
Yeah.
And not being easy means what it is not. It is not that if you want to eat rice and chicken every day, I'll give you rice and chicken every day. But I know that you need some vegetable. So today you may eat rice, and tomorrow I say you need sweet potatoes, or the next day I say you need broccoli, or you may need jama, for example. Let me call ones that we know. I may say it's eru, or the next day is koki. So the variety of having things that constitute. Remember, the Constitution is the fundamental document of the U.S. If you look at that document, it's just a small booklet, the U.S. Constitution. Then with its amendments, the amendments that have ensued and follow along the 200 years of the plus years of the nation of America. And then you have the lawmakers that are in Congress making laws every day. Some of those laws are laws that have expiration date. What do I say that? Means that you can pass a law that our budget will start from January 1st and will end on December 31st. That's our fiscal year. So we'll end there. Or October 1st to September 30th. That's our fiscal year. We'll end there. So laws are made, and you have statutes, and there are things that are made by the law-making body, and there are other privileges that the executive branch also has that they can take upon themselves with the executive privilege to sign some things that are called executive orders. A good example would be President Biden just pardoned his son and a whole other lot of people who had been found guilty of crimes that had been committed, and the Justice Department had already put some of them in jail, and the president said, I will grant them clemency and pardon them. Executive privilege. They've been given that mercy and shown that grace. So the court cannot go back and say, oh no, we're going to put these people back in jail because they really committed a crime. No, they've been granted clemency. They've had their crime forgiven by the executive head of the executive branch, which is the president. So why am I saying this? We may have disagreements. We may see things differently. We may work in different format. But we have a guiding tool and a guiding process that we've put in place. And in putting that process in place, it should help each one of us to tone and each one of us to stay in, the path that is needful and helpful. If we see something that will be much more helpful and help us go and get better and get ahead, yes, we can table that. It can come through the legislative bill as a bill and it will be passed into law. I know what you want me to talk about, that reconciliation. I will get there. I will learn. And it can go. And if it requires us to change our constitution, or let me not say change, to amend. Sometimes amendments are not really that we are changing something, it's that we are adding something to the constitution that was not there in the past. So we call it an amendment. It's now we are adding to that constitution, which is fundamental. But with us, one of the things that was done in December of 2023 was to amend and move from interim government to the government of Ambazonia. And then we amended and changed the name of how we're going to call our constitution from interim constitution to the orders in council. Those were some of the things. Because some of our comrades did not understand the importance of the Constituent Assembly that was called and the legislative branch taking that after the bill was passed and they voted it into law and that amendment stood. Because granted, the constituencies actually also voted for us to move that direction. It could have been the other way around. Could we have loved that? We take it to the legislative branch, they sign it, they vote for it, then we take it back to the constituency, and then they vote for it, then we take it to the president for signature. Then that would not have really, it's not a doable thing. So when that was passed, some people mistook and misunderstood and did not really understand the significance, even some of those who hold offices in the government. And therefore, they ratchet up stories and cause havoc that was about to even splinter the group that is working with the government and put people at bay. But the president, in his wisdom, decided, I'm going to set up a reconciliation committee to handle this and see. The good thing I would say that may come out, I don't know what their recommendations are, it will be something that may come up to say, we need avenues for people to express when things they see are concerning. How do we handle open door policy? Granted, we don't yet have, except when we have town halls or we have APP meetings, but those are structured in a different fashion. So what kind of avenues can we put in place where we have open door policy, where if something is really bothering somebody or they don't understand, they can go there and express that. Who can handle that? I am hoping that will be part of their recommendation. Granted, for the House, since we are all representatives of people, I may be the speaker, but I'm just elected by the House member to hold that office. And Tomorrow, I might not be the speaker. Someone else will be that speaker in that office. It's just so that we bring guidance and bring leadership and bring a vision that we are accomplishing. But when we look at the government at large, look at the Ethics Commission. The Ethics Commission is there to ensure that the ethical processes are put in place, and if there are issues between the arms of government or government I won't call them employee or government officials, they can try to mediate between them and try to see if they can bring some resolution. But what if it is not something against somebody, but it is more something where you need to express something or bring a suggestion? Are we open? Do we have the platforms? Some tiers and may already have that. That makes it easier for them. But how do we do this to make it easy for government officials? Mind you, if you have to do that, there are rules to. You need to follow the rules and not rebel against the rules because you think that it is not in your liking. I hope that we will talk about unity. I think the president has touched unity before.
Yeah.
Unity is bringing parts that had been parts of things that were separated, to bring them back, to restore them to its original form. I take, for example, I take a picture and cut them into pieces of puzzle. I take those pieces and scatter them, mix them up, and I want to put the picture back. I can bring those pieces of puzzle and put the picture to look like it used to be originally, and that will be unified, and you have it seamless. But we could also collaboration is people who are of different, let me say, platforms, different groups, different governments, but they want to collaborate on a specific agenda or something or project that they want to do. But then after that is done, they can move back to where they were before. Reconciliation would be dealing with when you have aggrieved your brother within your circle and you want to fix things, or even outside of your circle, you go back to be reconciled to them so that you can put things back together and move on. So those terminologies that sound big, but to simplify them, they help. It will help to understand collaboration, unity, and reconciliation in its simplest denominator, so that it will help people to know when collaboration is what we need to deal with is collaboration versus unity versus reconciliation. We can all be reconciled, but we can be reconciled and still stay in our different corners.
Winnie, Amazonia women are too much. I just love this explanation that you have just given. I'd like ABC technical team to just cut this little part that Winnie have just explained: unity, collaboration, and reconciliation. Just that little part, and play it over and as long as ABC exists, because that was so simply and aptly put. And if you as an Amazonian are not watching the Horizon, I don't know what else you watch on ABC, because the wisdom is too much. The knowledge is elaborate. Thank you so much, Williams. That explanation just made me excited, because you really touch and articulated everything, because a lot of times in Amazonia they have used collaboration, unity, reconciliation, and just interchangeably, and it was using as a tool for fight, as a tool to discredit, and a tool to attack the government. Every time they'll be like, oh, we want unity, but the government doesn't want. Oh, we want collaboration with the government. They have used a lot of these words interchangeably, even in people having issues that require recall, even within the government. you've had people throw this word around and just to justify their point incorrectly. So thank you for that proper and in-depth explanation and differentiation of what each word mean and what it and how it can be applied practically. Thank you, Mappy. I don't know if you have anything to add to that. And
No, she covered it very completely, so there's nothing to add.
fantastic. So just for another layer, we're talking about ratings, and there was something Mawini mentioned regarding ratings, and when we create systems and structure like the government of Amazonia, ratings, we work with majority. Just like when we went to ASSC 2, there were policies that were voted, not 100%. They were never 100% on anything that were made into law. They were never 100% when we had the town hall, when we just had the town hall after we had the coup plotters uh, did their witchcraft. When we were making amendments and updating our policies and laws, they were never 100%. And this is why I am an advocate till tomorrow, yesterday, today, and tomorrow, for a structure, for a system, rather than an individual. And we've created the system. The interim government is so well structured, so much so that everybody can play a vital role in prosecuting our restoration quest, and everyone in that is they can do their bit. So I just want us to come to the realization that we need a government, we need a structure, a working system. The government have proven over the years that it is a working system, because if we did not have this system that we currently have, Amazonia freedom story will be very different at this point. And because we have a system and a president who have provide a lot of stability, who have brought stability in leadership, we've removed our focus from fighting from who is the leader, who is not the leader, who is qualified, who is not qualified. His track record has proven time and time and year after year that the stable, is focused, Amazonian independence, total independence is the goal and is the only option. And now we come to the fact, I just want us to, at least acknowledge the stability he has brought to our freedom cause, and the direction and vision that he always bring every new year, and even after going through every crisis, every disagreement, how stable and how calm he handles all these different challenges that the government and that the Amazonian struggle at large have faced over the years. And Rafi, do you have anything, you have also played a part, in, and you've seen how all of these have unfolded at so many different levels. What would you like to say about that?
Yes, so thank you so much, Lady Casey. I think to address that, there's a section in his speech that I want to read that may not be directly related to what you're saying, but it's like a stepping stone. I want to read that and then read something about his address to the Ambazonia State Armed Forces, because that is already important,
Okay.
and then really hone to your question. The collapse of our enemy, because he really addressed La République du Cameroon also. So the collapse of our enemy. Paul Biya and his greedy family are feeding fat from the oil and gas that they steal from Amazonia. The IMF and other leaders have forced his government of kleptomaniacs to increase tax revenue to meet up with their debt servicing obligations before they can qualify for any further loans. But that kind of solution is like a man dying of thirst in the desert, and you ask him to chop off one of his limbs for every bottle of water he needs to survive. The state of Cameroon is the same as the state of its president, a total wreck. The so-called #1 economy in the CEMAC region is now in shambles, with a catastrophic devaluation looming in the air for the CFA this year. We are witnessing the failure of the Cameroon state. Let me also talk to the people and leaders of that banana republic of Cameroon on this occasion that also marks their Independence Day, January 1st. Please, you should stop calling us brothers and sisters. That is a lie in every sense of the word. We are not brothers. We are not even distant cousins. Otherwise, we would have had some similarities in our political DNAs. For example, we are not ashamed of celebrating our Independence Day. You are ashamed of celebrating yours. We love dialogue. You hate genuine dialogue. It behooves us to ensure that our citizens do not come under the yoke of any slave treaty. You enjoy carrying a crushing colonial yoke on your necks. We are accountable. You hate accountability. That is why you promote and protect thieves. Corruption in Amazonia will carry some penalty as first-degree murder. It shall be punishable by hanging publicly, not rewarded as you do with political offices. I will pass on this one. We don't kill dissidents as you do your Molinex them. We will never be at war with our civil society as you are. You shoot them down. We respect our constitution. It will never be replaced by the high instruction of the head of state. We are not a jungle where journalists, clerics, and critics just disappear, where women and children are massacred, and there are no commissions of inquiries, no arrests of perpetrators. Amazonia will not be an open prison like La Republique that terrorizes international NGOs, bans human rights organizations and churches with total impunity. No one will govern Amazonia for more than 2 terms in Boya. We don't even mind to establish a one-term system in our country. You like unlimited terms for your chief of state. Presidents in Amazonia will not be in power just because they can, but if and only if the constitution at the time they come to power gives them the right to. We will not be governed by fossils that can barely stand on their feet or make coherent statements. Our children will not be tied on the streets while the walking dead at 80 go to work to plan the future. We do not hate free press as you do, and no one in Amazonia shall be above the law. We are not fighting for a society made up of the touchables and the untouchable as there is in La République du Cameroon. Public officials who loot the public treasury in Amazonia would all, without exception, be arrested, judged, sentenced, and if found guilty, their sentences executed within 7 working days, meaning punished within 7 working days. Our commonwealth shall not be the preserve of one man and his small family of kleptomaniacs. It is an insult to compare the Southern Cameroons with a country like La République du Cameroon. And then the address on the state army. I think we should read this one also. Amazonia State Armed Forces. To all our valiant forces, your bravery during October Independence Day 2024 celebrations inspired us all. Please continue to align with the government of the Federal Republic of Amazonia and fight as representatives of the state, not as private militias. The government will continue to reach out to you and for you this year to solidify how to build, sorry about that. Empower us to help you better. If we fail, you will fight in perpetuity. Those who stopped some of you from paying allegiance to the government, where are they today? And how far did they go with their flowering promises? Many of them have either joined the Cameroon side, preaching peace without justice, or have simply vanished in the air. Please never fall in the trap called DDR. Do you know the meaning of DDR? It means Dead in Detention Reception Center. It is where Bia's worst enemies are identified and awaiting slaughter. Like in 1984, all of us who oppose Bia shall be slaughtered together with all our families and immediate communities without mercy. Bia can never forgive any, even a blind that sits in his compound. Talk less of Anglophiles who defied him. So let's address this fact first before we can talk about his plan for 2025. Winnie, Lady Casey, I finished reading that section. I think there's a lot to unpack because he really compared the difference between La République du Cameroun and Ambazonia in very detailed manner.
Thank you.
Mary,
Thank you,
do
Marvin.
you want to add?
Yeah, let me say something. I want to comment on something that Lady Casey said, that we have systems in place and not individual. Basically, what that means is we uphold strong institutions and not strong men or women, or strong man or strong woman mentality. That is the fundamental difference between us and La République du Cameroun. They do not care for institutions. Institutions for them are wrapped around one person, and the nation and so-called constitution is wrapped around one person and the little cronies that he has kept around him to be his yes men, yes people. And actually, when I say this, I feel really sorry I have empathy for the people of La République du Cameroun. Why do I say so? Not because they empathize with us or they know what is going, because they don't know that really the president of their country is just a glove, and there is a stronger hand inside that glove that makes them think that they have a president, because ultimately France is the one controlling them, and they don't have to control them based on their own laws, based on their own politics, but based on their interests, their economic interests. So they keep whoever they want as a strong person. They don't care how many of the Africans that you will slaughter, how many you will put in jail. They don't care as long as you let them do what they want to do and answer yes sir to them. That's who their president is. Their president answer yes sir to France. Forget about, okay, we have this, we have that. Elections are coming in 2025. It's all sham fake. Let's cool about that. But we are very different. I love the way President Sako contrasted Ambazonia and La République du Cameroun. Their systems, judiciary system versus the judiciary system that we have. He contrasted them. Yeah, I know he said that, oh, within 7 days we will do this and that. Those are just, I would say he's just telling you that the law and the justice system will walk swiftly and not delay. Not because in 7 days we'll find you guilty, we'll take you into detention, we'll bring a charge, we'll go through the court, and in 7 days you'll be either condemned, found, released, or whatever, and then we will. No, it just means that we are not going to have this delay thing that they carry people put in the court. Think about this. Let me just bring this into your, let me just remind you guys of this quickly. Remember, after they abducted Julius Ayok and the Naira 10 from, they were Naira 12, but 2 were released and 10 were taken to Cameroon. They kept them on the ground for several months until the lawyers had to file and say they wanted to see them alive. Then they brought them to court. So then that way people could see them, because that was something that had to be done. Then it took, every day they go to court and nothing is happening. It's going around and round. And the final day that they decided that they were going to actually put a sham trial and pass judgment. Do you guys remember that happened like 5 a.m. in the morning?
Yeah.
Do you guys remember? Like 4
Yeah.
or 5 a.m. at night. How many courts operate that way? The only court that I remember that operated that way was when they were trying Jesus. They did it at night. Because of some illegality they knew they were doing that was wrong. So they carried that whole thing for years. They did nothing, and the day they wanted to do, it was like they are waiting to hear what somebody would say. And once that final paper and what was given to the whoever was the presiding judge, they kept dragging it until 5 a.m. Then they had to read their final thing. Why did they not just read it when they showed up there at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock? They could have done that. I mean, PM. Not wait till 5 a.m. So the president contrasted that judiciary system. It contrasted the ethical problems that La République has, where they keep kleptomaniacs. That's the first time I see the president just put it in that, giving it that a big punch and said, kleptomaniacs, thieves. Their hands are always going into the cookie jar to steal from the government coffers, from other people, taking bribery and corruption. So he contrasted that we are not going to tolerate that. We will not tolerate that. It's so to say we are brothers and sisters, if we don't have a common base, a common foundation, a common moral compass, then we can't be. We could be neighbors, but we can't be. The moral values of your family and your home is not the same as your next door neighbor. It could be in some areas, but not necessarily, because you don't dictate to them and they don't dictate to you. So La République cannot dictate to us and tell us. This is why I will weave this in. This is why having the funds and the chiefs being on the payroll of La République du Cameroun is for a purpose of controlling them, manipulating them, and trying to change the core cultural values and responsibilities of those funds and fundoms, so that they start now what they do. What do? They now behold, take what La République is doing and inherit that bad behavior, and they want to bring it, because once they start destroying it at the foundation, then it becomes easier for the whole structure to crumble. And how better it is, because for example, they understand. I will use this thing of fundum and chieftaincy. Our people respect, honor, and adhere to the norms of their cultural norms. And you see it in how we treat our funds, how we treat, let me say, cultural things and villages and tribal heritage. Remember I said that. But when you go and start making things and start doing things and manipulating those individuals. Because when you're doing that, they are not holding village council with the council members and the villagers don't know what is happening. You are influencing one person that you know has some power and authority that can just push things down. So guess what? We are not. We're not going to be the same and have never been the same.
Absolutely.
And we will not stay in the same corrupted, putrid, smelling, bad governance nation as they are. We don't want to be that. And we will never be that. And that's for this. We will not throw people in jail with no crime. People will not be tried and they have to prove their innocence. They are innocent and it falls on the state or the prosecutor to prove that they are guilty. Thank you.
Lady
Thank
Casey, let me
you.
just add something very briefly, just very briefly. So this difference between La Republique and Ambazonia really stems from our colonial heritage. You know, the Anglo-Saxon way of doing things. We do things based on merit. We have a lot of honor in our DNA. We follow the truth. We do a lot of, we respect the hierarchy, we respect the elderly, and just the fact that it's merit based means that somebody will not be in a position forever when they don't deserve to be there. So that our Anglo-Saxon heritage has gotten us where we are today, even when our forefathers had the opportunity of having elections and they had this peaceful transfer of power. We know what happened in 1959, 1960. So he went on explaining these differences, but the core is because of our Anglo-Saxon heritage. We came from the British system. They came from the French system, which is based on corruption till today, and that's why they're still dependent on all other African countries to survive. I just wanted to make that final inclusion. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That's well put. And these differences we already know. See the way the whole struggle has gone, and we see their reaction. We have articulated our differences. It started with the teachers and lawyers, and that was also because they were trying to absorb and trying to francophonize people from southern Cameroon's Amazonian. So because of all of that, they know. The truth of the matter is that they know our quality more than we know ourselves. Because if we know ourselves as much as the enemy, La Republique, knows us, you will not have infiltrators, you will not have blackleg, we will not have sellouts, we will not have betrayal at the capacity in which we have had in this struggle. If as a people we understand the quality of our values, our moral, our structures, our systems, and just the aura of us as a people, we will not allow La Republique trample on us or use us as a tool against our people. And Mawini also mentioned the condoms and the chieftaincies that La Republique is trying to hold their claws or evil claws on them so they can control our people, because La Republique have seen that we respect our structure from the chief, from the quarter heads to the chief, to the regional chief. We have that respect for authority, we have respect for hierarchy. Meanwhile, they don't have respect for any system or any structure. So they had to come to this, our core of leaders. These chiefs and funds were meant to be our immediate leaders who are close to the communities, so they can always have control and influence, so they can also continue their francophonization of our people. But thank goodness, even their leader have admitted that they have failed. So, and they will never succeed because it's definitely too late for them. And thank you so much, Mape. And I would now prepare to wrap up for today. And because we started a little bit late, so our
Yeah.
time is up. There's another program coming up soon on ABC. So, Mape will just come to you for the final segment. We will not really delve much into the policy or by the president because the final part of his speech was for policies, suggestions going forward. We've touched a bit about one of them, which was the truth and reconciliation, and then many more he talks about. So we'll just talk about the message to our Amazonian self-defense army.
State Army.
Yeah, state army. Amazonian state army, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let me read that part because that's in fact the last part of his speech. And I think I already started
Yeah.
part of it. So the concluding part has to do with 2025. The year 2025 will not be business as usual in Amazonia. Fight, fight, and fight for victory lies your salvation. Every security personnel of the occupier is a legitimate war target. You must carefully target them and take them out in preventive defense anywhere, anytime. Let us ensure our fight remains strategic, unified, focused, and resolute. The phenomenon of spoilers and traitors in our communities must end this year. Get every one of them and hold them in perpetuity until the end of the war. They are your number one obstacle now on the ground. Do all in keeping with international humanitarian laws. Any event or promoters undermining our resistance or promoting the occupiers' agenda of normalization without justice for Southern Cameroons must be dealt with as treason. Communities are hereby authorized to determine the appropriate punishment. We will intensify our efforts going forward, knowing that our victory is non-negotiable. Give us reasons to support you and our financial warriors who stand with this government will not fail or disappoint you in 2025. Do not celebrate this day like some who think the war has ended. Stay away from drugs and alcohol and be on maximum alert. The greatest celebration you can give yourself today as smart warriors is to take out some of your enemy forces when they become reckless and lose guard. We must see the dawn of a free and prosperous Amazonia. Happy New Year 2025. So that was his last message to the ASA, giving them advice on how to carry out themselves for 2025 and assuring them that there will be constant support from this government as long as they stay as the state army and not work as militias or as individuals. Go ahead, Ma Winnie.
When militias, I think when people don't realize that if you stay as a militia, it means you're taking power into your own hands. You're your own person, and you have all the authority to do whatever. There's a difference between. I would say there's a difference where you have to deal with. You take arm for self-defense. Let's say somebody was breaking into your home and they had carried a gun, and you also carry a gun. Especially for us here in the U.S., where the Second Amendment is our rights to bear arms, and you can carry that arm, and an intruder was breaking into your house. You have the right for self-defense if you think they're going to kill you. You have that right. But of course, you will have to have all the justification to show that why you did what you did. So to bear arms, if you bear arm under a government, then there is a commander-in-chief that is responsible for how you handle things. That is why, even though people may think that it's just Okala Bilai or it's Lele Afrik that is in the what they call northern and whatever southern regions, or southwest region and northwest region. That's how La Republic calls Ambazonia. But and then the military commanders that they have put in, mind you, Cameroon is a highly centralized government. So because they never vote for governors or whatever, it's highly centralized. So information comes from up, down, and those that are down are just there to execute. So whether it is the military commander or whatever, you go up, it's a pyramid. You have one person at that top that makes that decision, and then they just keep pushing. It doesn't matter if he gave the power of attorney, meaning that somebody makes decisions on his behalf, as long as that decision is made and it violates human rights, it also carries the penalty that he made that decision, because you trusted this person enough to make them make this decision on your behalf. Granted, we know Bia is demented, whether we like it or not. Bia is demented. Dementia is just part of the life of growing older. You can see, we could see that when it happened, when he came to Washington, D.C., and he was asking that, where are we? Are we in front of some important people? So that he could go into his, let me say, cruise control mode to say, these are important people, so let me give the political address or political statements. But whatever is happening, if you as a soldier on the ground, you don't come under the umbrella of that leadership, which is your government, then you're acting solo. Tomorrow, when time comes and they start asking what happened, they're investigating who did what, and they're saying, but this happened and it didn't look right, and then you have to go give your own testimony. You have to be your defense. You have to say who sent you out. And it's also important that those who are in charge of the let me call it Ambazonia State Army, which is more for self-defense, because that's the mode in which we operate. It's for self-defense. If you do things that is outside of the circle of self-defense, hurting civilians, kidnapping for ransom, that's no longer self-defense, that's crime. And you're doing that by yourself. I know the president, Sako, will not be accepting that kind of activity and action. So you're better off coming under the government state army, so that you get direction, you get groomed, you get taught, you get given the appropriate advice on how to proper behavior and what to do and who your target. They clearly define to you who your enemy and target is that you have to get to because of the war. And mind you, we have not crossed our borders to enter La République to go fight and overthrow them like Russia did to Ukraine. We have been in our land, but we are occupied. We are under an occupation of La République du Cameroon and have been like that for decades.
And let me just add one more thing, Lady Casey. You remember that in November of the last year, just I think the 15th of November, 13th, 14th, 15th, the Commission or Committee Against Torture, United Nations Committee Against Torture, grilled La République du Cameroon on crimes against humanity. And that is an example of what we're talking about. The president's advice to our state army is to protect them from things like this. Because if they go out and act as individuals, as militias, those crimes are not hidden. The international community knows what is happening. It could be 1 year from now, a few months from now, years from now, that you will be picked up for committing those crimes. But if you're working under the umbrella of the government of Southern Cameroons or Ambazonia, and you follow the rules that have been given to you, where you don't commit such atrocities, then you will be saved. You'll be free of those crimes. So that is just telling you that it is important to work under the umbrella of a government than to work as an individual or as a militia. I think that, Lady Casey, I'm going to pass over to you as you end your show. But if I am having this opportunity to give my last statement, I want to say that I appreciate everyone watching The Horizon, the voice of the Amber Woman, and that there was a recent tweet from Thibault Nage less than 24 hours ago. Lady Casey, I just want to make my closing statement before I hang over.
Yes.
There was a recent
Yeah.
tweet from Thibault Nage less than 24 hours ago, saying that he's going to be pulling away from making personal contributions on Twitter because he's been pulled back into the office. We don't know what role he's going to be. But we are encouraging him. Thibault Nage, if you sometimes listen to The Horizon or you get information about Ambazonia, we're encouraging him that God has given him an opportunity to go back now on and finish unfinished business. Because remember, when he was the Assistant Secretary of State, he was called in front of the Congress to address the La République problem versus Southern Cameroons, and he spoke at length. And since then, his tone has changed. He has made statements that Ambazonia will be free one day. It's just a matter of time. So if he really believes that, and he's been given this opportunity to go back into the Trump administration, we're hoping that he can make this a dream come true for Southern Cameroons, Ambazonia. Thank you all for being with us on The Horizon. Lady Casey, Winnie, thank you. I'm going to pass over to you guys.
Over to you, Winnie, just to round up.
Yeah, thank you. We may just take the opportunity here to say congratulations, Ambassador Thibault Nage. We hope that you will no longer say that Ambazonian likes their Cameroonese anymore, because we really don't. We want our Ambazonia, Southern Cameroon identity, and we want to stay who we are, true to our core. And we hope that we hope that your advice to influence the Gulf of Guinea that you gave in the past would be one of truth, one of honesty, and one of true stability that will help that region to better serve the people, and so that the partnership that the U.S. government and the people of America want to have with the people of Ambazonia, aka Southern Cameroons, will be a stronger bond because of our Anglo-Saxon heritage. There should be no fear. We're not going to push you out or push people. We know Manawa Bay is one of the places where they do train some of the military, including the U.S. military. We are aware of that. I'm putting this out there so they don't think we are ignorant about that. But we need to do this in a just manner and have the right people there. We know some of our resources are being extracted by people from various countries, both Europeans as well as maybe some Americans. But we know we want a fair market value when we take over, not because we want to just cut off people and cut them off, because once we get back, we know it will take some time. So we are appealing to all goodwill people of the international community: support justice for the people of Amazonia. Support that what was denied them in 1961 or was stolen from them in 1961, October 1st, will be restored to them in its totality and fullness, so that our women our mothers, our daughters, our grandmothers, our sisters can be free to do things and not be afraid that they will be raped on the street by some military BIR guy or gang rape, and then we can grow our nation. We are hardworking people, very hardworking people. We're not lazy people. And we want to do things and do it right so that every Ambazonian will be able to have a country, a government, a nation that they can be proud of, and that which is right by our Anglo-Saxon heritage will be there for every one of our children and posterity to enjoy. Thank you, Lady Casey. Thank you, my patients, for having me here again. And we hope that maybe next year, I hope we can talk about, we are in Boya and we don't even have time to go on ABC because we are working so hard to put things in place that we don't have time. We barely have maybe 5 minutes clip with a journalist, because free speech will be given to us and they can just say, hey, what are you doing and how can we help? And that will come through. Thank you.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Mate and Winnie, you have said it all. You have said it all. I'm ever so glad to be your humble host on the horizon. And I want to also add thank you to all ABC Amba viewers and ABC Amba donors. And thank you all, and keep watching ABC Amba TV. I'll have our next program coming up just few minutes after we go. And until next week, Friday, same platform, ABC Amba TV, on all social media and on satellite. And same time, see you, and God bless you, and bye.
Bye. Thank you.
You are here, moving in our midst. I worship you. I worship you.
Hello Houston, Texas, this is Sinach, and I am excited that I have been invited to minister at the Shout It Abroad music concert taking place in Houston, Texas on the 7th of February 2025. It is going to be a time of worship, a time of praise, and I am looking forward to sharing my new music with you.
Everybody now, let's go!
The venue is at the Smart Financial Center, Sugarland, Texas. Make sure you pick up a ticket and bring your friends and your loved ones. It promises to be an amazing time in the presence of the Lord. I look forward to seeing you. God bless.
Victory is my name. My praise is strong. Joy overflowing. More than a song. I'm celebrating in the midst of my enemies. I praise. You are here, moving in our midst. I worship you. I worship you.
Hello Houston, Texas, this is Sinach, and I am excited that I have been invited to minister at the Shout It Abroad music concert taking place in Houston, Texas on the 7th of February 2025. It is going to be a time of worship, a time of praise, and I am looking forward to sharing my new music with you.
Everybody now, let's go!
The venue is at the Smart Financial Center, Sugarland, Texas. Make sure you pick up a ticket and bring your friends and your loved ones. It promises to be an amazing time in the presence of the Lord. I look forward to seeing you. God bless.
Victory is my name. My praise is strong, joy overflowing, more than a song. I'm celebrating in the midst of my enemies. I praise.
You are here, moving in our midst. I worship you. I worship you.
Hello Houston, Texas, this is Sinach, and I am excited that I have been invited to minister at the Shout Eid Abroad music concert taking place in Houston, Texas on the 7th of February 2025. It is going to be a time of worship, a time of praise, and I am looking forward to sharing my new music with you.
Everybody now, let's go!
The venue is at the Smart Financial Center, Sugarland, Texas. Make sure you pick up a ticket and bring your friends and your loved ones. It promises to be an amazing time in the presence of the Lord. I look forward to seeing you. God bless.
Victory is my name. My praise is strong, joy overflowing, more than a song. I'm celebrating in the midst of my enemies. Everybody now, let's go! my name, my name, my name, my name. Victory is my name. Victory is my name, my name, my name. Victory is my name. Victory is my name, my name. Goodness and mercy follows me all my days, all my days. Goodness and mercy follows me all my days, all my days. Up my head and behind, on the left, on the right. Up my head and behind, on the left, on the right. Say, goodness and mercy follows me all my days, all my days. Goodness and mercy follows me all my days, all my days. Up my head and on the left, on the right, up my head, on the left, up my head, right. In the midst of my enemies, wave those hands, come on. In the midst of my enemies, I pray, I pray. I put on my dancing shoes. There's no way that I can lose. I'll be the last one standing. I'll be the last one standing. I put on my dancing shoes. There's no way that I can lose. I'll be the last one standing. I'll be the last one standing. Monday, Monday, hey, yeah, yeah. Victory is mine.
You are here, moving in our midst. I worship you. I worship you.
Hello Houston, Texas, this is Sinach, and I am excited that I have been invited to minister at the Shout Eid Abroad music concert taking place in Houston, Texas on the 7th of February 2025. It is going to be a time of worship, a time of praise, and I am looking forward to sharing my new music with you.
Everybody now, let's go.
The venue is at the Smart Financial Center, Sugarland, Texas. Make sure you pick up a ticket and bring your friends and your loved ones. It promises to be an amazing time in the presence of the Lord. I look forward to seeing you. God bless.